Good afternoon, doctor.
Oh, hi. Is this Ward J2?
Yes, sir. The patients are ready for your inspection, doctor.
Thank you, nurse. Well, who's first?
Monsieur Croquet in bed 2.
What's his problem?
He's been complaining of loss of consciousness. You'll need this, doctor.
She gave me a long, narrow metal box and a stunning smile. Thanks.
Hang on, why doesn't she recognise us?
Hi, I'm Dr. Stobart.
Hello, Doctor.
The nurse told me you keep losing consciousness.
That's right. I've had the problem as long as I can remember. It's a real out-of-body experience. Like death, but not so conclusive.
I see. How long does it last?
Just a fraction of a second, and then I recover.
I might not have been a doctor, but I was formulating a diagnosis all the same. This guy was nuts. I know exactly what you mean. It's known in the medical field as blinking.
Is it serious?
Of course it isn't serious. It's perfectly natural.
But just think, 2 seconds every minute. Why, that's almost half an hour every day. 2 weeks out of every year spent in total darkness.
I don't have time to listen to this baloney.
Monsieur Croquet does not look like a young man. Why has it taken so long to try to treat this seemingly worrisome problem? Anyway, that's not our concern right now.
Do you recognize this red nose?
Nah, I don't.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
Nah, Doctor. Who is it?
A cold-blooded killer.
One of your colleagues?
No, he really is a murderer.
I've never seen him before.
Does this gem mean anything to you?
No, Doctor.
Have you heard of a guy called Merlin?
No, Doctor.
Do you know what this tool is used for?
Eye surgery.
That's a dumb thing to say. It's not sharp enough. Have you ever heard of the Club Alamut?
Nah, I haven't.
Do you know what this is?
Is it self-raising flour?
No. Do you know what this piece of equipment is called?
No, I don't.
I thought about giving him an electric shock, but I just couldn't do that to a sick guy. Have you any idea what this is?
Please, take it away before I throw up.
Which bed is Marquet in?
He's round the corner, in solitary.
What's the matter with him?
I don't know, but the men who brought him in were wearing masks and rubber gloves. Hey, you're a doctor. How come you don't know?
We doctors don't know everything.
Then how come you act like you do?
Has Marquet had any visitors?
Nah, neither have I. That's the worst thing about being in hospital. You feel like the rest of the world has abandoned you.
Well, you know how it is. Life goes on.
Thanks for those comforting words.
Well, goodbye and good luck.
Thanks, Doc.
The guy was sick. His face was the same shade of gray as the pillow beneath his head. I wondered whether I ought to call the nurse. Maybe check him out for breathing.
He seems perfectly fine to me.
According to the chart, this guy was called Croquet. The graph showed a steady decline in his pulse rate and an increase in his blood pressure. It kind of shook me to see this guy's life reduced to a few jagged lines. Hello again. Do you know what this piece of equipment is called?
No, I don't.
Oh, I was hoping that George would use it on him. Although I haven't actually tried that before.
Now, I was no doctor, but this guy looked dead to me.
I mean, why give us this if we can't use it on him? Never mind.
The name on the chart was Boissy. The poor guy's temperature had been up and down like a white-knuckle ride. No wonder he looked so sick. The nurse was stunningly beautiful. The guys on this ward sure were lucky to be in her care.
Alright, George, calm down. But still, why does she not recognise us? We were in here less than, 5 minutes ago? Unless all she sees right now is the white coat.
The name on the chart was Sopmarsh. His temperature was normal, with little fluctuation either way. This guy didn't look sick to me. He didn't have spots or stitches, and he certainly didn't have a fever. Hello? Anybody home?
Who are you?
My name is Dr. Stobart, and I'm here to steer you down the rocky road to recovery.
Dr. Monroe said there was no cure for what I've got.
Your problem is you stayed in bed too long.
Are you sure you're a qualified doctor?
You better believe it.
Yeah, of course we are. We are wearing a white coat after all. And no name badge or any kind of paraphernalia.
Do you recognize this red nose?
Doesn't that belong to Boissy?
No. I found it in a sewer.
He's a clown, you know. You wouldn't think so to look at him now, would you?
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, Doctor. Who is it?
A cold-blooded killer.
Really? He's a dead ringer for my bank manager. Of course, Mr. Soames hasn't got a scar, and he doesn't come from the Middle East. His hair's a lot grayer, too. Otherwise, it's just like him.
Remarkable. Does this gem mean anything to you?
No, Doctor. Is this some kind of test?
If it was, you would have failed. Have you heard of a guy called Merlin?
No, Doctor.
Do you know what this tool is used for?
I'd rather not, Doctor. Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
Have you ever heard of the Club Alamut?
I'm not really a nightclub man, Doctor. A game of whist and a glass of ginger wine is about my limit.
Do you know what this is?
It looks like plaster.
How did you know that?
I'm a plasterer.
I'm going to take your blood pressure.
Why?
I'm a doctor. It's my job. I thought about giving him an electric shock, but I just couldn't do that to a sick guy.
Wait, I thought we were going to give him a blood pressure test. So why haven't we?
Have you any idea what this is?
No, Doctor. I wouldn't even like to guess.
What can you tell me about Marquet?
He's the man in the private room, isn't he? That room was mine before I was tossed out like a common squatter.
Do you know what's wrong with Marquet?
They won't even say what's wrong with me. Tell me, Doctor, what's your opinion?
It's too early to say.
But I've been here for 3 months.
What's your impression of Nurse Grendel?
She's a very efficient young woman.
Efficient? You make her sound like a vacuum cleaner.
I've no complaints.
The woman in reception described Nurse Grendel as a monster.
Well, that's simply not true. She's quite strict, but that's her job, isn't it? You've got to have discipline in a place like this.
See you later.
Doctor,
What is it?
you haven't taken my blood pressure.
Seems fine to me.
You're not doing it right.
Of course I am.
No, you're not. Dr. Monroe never did it like that.
I can't take a satisfactory reading while you're excited like this. I'll come back later.
Unfortunately, if we try to pass through here, every time this gentleman will call us over for a blood test. Sorry, a blood pressure test. Let's go and speak to everyone else. Now we have this nice new coat on.
Hello.
Oh, hi! No whistling, right?
Right. What's the problem with Nurse Grendel?
She's uptight and twisted on account of a broken heart.
Oh, that's too bad. I thought she was just plain bad-tempered.
That also. By the way, sir, I wouldn't stand too close to Mr. Shiny's grease valve. If he has an emission, it'll take the shine clean off your shoes. Say, nice sneakers.
Thanks. Who broke the nurse's heart? Was it you?
Oh no! Talk to a woman, I wouldn't know where to start. My analyst says I'm socially inept.
Some analyst? Weren't you offended?
Not me, it's a comfort to have it made official.
You shouldn't take any notice of him. Everyone shines in their own way.
Yeah, I shine floors.
Well, he seems happy enough. Oh, okay.
See you later.
Yeah, take care now.
Hey, Benoit.
There's no need to shout. What do you want?
What do you know about this piece of equipment?
It's a device for measuring blood pressure.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
See you later.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir?
I'd like to return this device.
Not to me, you don't. I don't touch medical equipment, especially if you've used it on sick people.
Thanks for your help, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Who else would we use this on?
Excuse me, sir.
You must be the new boy.
Yeah, I must be.
Well, stop wandering about and make yourself useful. Bunny, come here, boy. This is Benoit, my nephew. Can I trust you to look after him?
Do your own babysitting, Gramps. Who do you think you are, anyhow?
I am Felix Hagenmeyer.
And may I say what an honor it is to meet you in person, sir. You are on my medical wall of fame. Right up there with Pasteur and Leary. I look on it as a privilege, no, an honor, to look after your nephew, sir.
He is fresh out of medical school. It will open his eyes to see a real doctor on the job.
I'll bet.
Show him around. Let him see some real suffering.
Yes, sir. Good save, George, by the way.
So long, Hagenmeyer.
I think that I saw a film called something like Doctor on the Job when I was younger, but that's probably not something I should bring up right now.
Could you take a look at the client in bed number 3 now? His name is Eric Sopmarsh.
What's his problem?
He's delirious. He just now came out of theatre. He's recovering from major surgery.
I'll have him up and about before you can say, Lazarus, get out of your bed and walk. Hi, it's me again. See you later.
One of the effects of walking in and out of this room, and also with speaking to Nurse Grendel, is that she will randomly call you over to speak to someone, even though you have already spoken to them.
Hey, Benoit.
There's no need to shout. What do you want?
Here, take this pressure gauge.
Thank you, sir. What do you want me to do with it?
Well, keep it safe until I think of something. Are you ready with that pressure gauge?
Primed and ready to pump, sir. What do you want me to do with it?
Use it on Nurse Grendel.
Huh?
Go on, she'll enjoy it.
Well, okay.
Dr. Stobart?
Yeah?
I would appreciate it if you saved your jokes for the intern's restroom. This is a hospital ward, not a cabaret.
Oh, lighten up.
I heard that. Any more nonsense and I shall report you to Dr. Hagenmeyer.
Go ahead. We have his nephew right here.
Hey, Benoit.
Yes, sir?
Do you still have that gauge I gave you?
Ah, yes. What do you want me to do with it?
Use it on Rene Croquet.
Okay.
To be honest, this does not actually achieve anything.
Hey, Benoit.
Yes, sir?
Do you still have that gauge I gave you?
Ah, yes. What do you want me to do with it?
Use it on Eric Sopmarsh.
Okay.
There we go. Now he's happy, and we can get past.
It was a life-sized marble figure of a guy in robes. The sculptor had tried to give him a look of paternal authority and concern. To my mind, he looked just plain constipated. He sat like a statue of a sack of potatoes, but the cop's eyes were as watchful as a hawk's. I'm Dr. Stobart.
Bonjour, docteur.
Do you recognize this red nose?
Don't get cute with me.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, I have never seen him before.
Do you recognize this gem?
It isn't an emerald, is it?
Yeah, I think so. Thanks.
I thought emeralds were green.
Are you Thomas Merlin of Gruber Electronics?
No.
Then you won't be needing this. What do you think this tool is used for?
Branding mice without bending down.
Have you ever heard of the Club Alamet?
No. It sounds Middle Eastern.
Can you think of any sensible use for this plaster?
Sensible? No. Puerile? Yes. But you've probably thought of those already.
Would you like to shake hands?
What for?
As a gesture of goodwill.
On reflection? No.
What does this tissue suggest to you?
It looks as if it has been used to wipe Satan's bottom.
I hate to say it, but you could be right.
I didn't realise that Satan had a white ass.
Have you heard of a guy called Marquet?
He's in quarantine, Doc, right behind this here door.
Marquet is just the man I wanted to see.
I wouldn't go in there if I was you. He has anthrax.
I have to visit my patient.
What for?
Routine. I have to check he's still breathing.
What if he's not?
I'll sign the certificate and register his bed as vacant.
That's a cold and distant attitude to death.
Well, I've been institutionalized to the point of godlike aloofness.
The white coat suits you.
Thanks. Have you seen any suspicious characters on the ward?
Yeah, I have.
A gorilla and a weasel?
No, this was a tatty old bear.
How's the bear acting suspiciously?
Well, he was wearing a humbug.
Is that against the law?
No, but it's pretty weird for a bear.
Don't you think it's possible that the bear was a man in disguise?
Well, obviously, I'm not completely stupid. But who would go to the bother of disguising himself as a bear? It's not as if he'd blend in with the surroundings. I checked with base to see if any bears had been reported missing from the zoo or a traveling circus. They told me to sit tight until reinforcements arrive. I guess they're right. I'd be stupid to tackle a bear single-handed.
Catch you later, officer.
Au revoir, Doc. If you see that bear, kick him in the nuts.
Why would it be weird for the bear to be wearing a hat? My experience with most cartoons as a kid, that bears quite frequently wore hats. Anyway, let's go and see Marquet.
Rather you than me, pal.
Marquet?
Yes, I am Marquet. I've been expecting you.
You have?
Well, what are you waiting for? Get it over with.
I just want to know what I should do with the gem.
The Lahmar gem.
Yeah, right here in my pocket.
I thought you were one of the assassin.
Not me. I never inhaled.
So, you were sent in my place?
Yeah. You could hardly make the trip to Ireland in your condition. What should I do with the gem?
Deliver it to the Grand Master quickly. Tell him that I have found the tripod right here in Paris.
What, you have it?
Not yet, but it's being taken care of. I hired a couple of stooges with a flair for petty crime.
Would that be Flap and Guido by any chance?
You know them?
We've met. What about the Hashashin?
Is more likely to have followed Klausner. He'll stop at nothing to prevent the reforging of the sword.
And that's bad, is it?
As for Klausner, he has gone off to Syria on a wild goose chase.
They have geese in Syria?
He has a theory about the location of the...
That's enough excitement for one day, Monsieur Marquet. What are you doing here?
Talking to this patient, of course.
Monsieur Marquet is my patient. If Herr Hagenmeier was to hear that...
Okay, I'm going. I'd learned all I could from Marquet anyhow.
Ah, there you are, sir. I was just coming to look for you. I finished with your pressure gauge.
Thanks, Bunny.
What's that noise? It sounds as if someone's having a cardiac arrest.
It's all right. The doctor's in there with him.
Are you sure he was a doctor?
Oui, monsieur. He showed me his ID. It was Dr. Braille.
There's no Dr. Braille working here.
He's an imposter! The door's locked. Help me, officer.
Stand back, monsieur.